province. They have very different ways of how they, particularly marijuana, how they want to deal with it. Most people are aware that British Columbia has a very liberal view of drug policy, and it probably will continue to, regardless of what goes on in Ottawa. There are other provinces that have had more strict policies, and they'll probably continue that as well. As far as the Netherlands, there do seem to be changes there. Nothing too dramatic. If anything, there's been talk of trying to cut down on drug tourism. This idea that people come from other countries, they come to the Netherlands, they misbehave, and then they go back to their own countries. Unfortunately, you're always going to have that problem when you have sort of a patchwork scheme and you have more liberal policies in one place than in another. People that want to experience those liberal policies will gravitate to that place and then they'll go home. I grew up in a tourist town, and in some respects I understand the Netherlands' frustration. People used to come from out of state to my town, enjoy the beaches, litter, get drunk, pee on the street, and then go back to their town. But they would behave in my state in a way they would never have thought of behaving back home. So knowing some of that has gone on in the Netherlands, that has spurred what is this talk of some of this crackdown, but things are not going to change radically in the Netherlands, nor are they changing in Europe. It's still light years ahead of the U.S.
Where in the future do you see how do you see things going? The Bush administration has kind of taken everything a giant step backwards, it would seem.
To the extent they can. There's often talk about the drug czar using the bully pulpit. And that's really, in many cases, all it is. As I said, there's 755,000 marijuana arrests per year. Overwhelmingly, more than 99% of those arrests are state and local. It's really not the federal government's business. They can get on a soapbox. They can run ads that your tax dollars pay for that we can laugh at and say are silly. But when it comes to making policy, oftentimes they're really all talk. They talk about cracking down in California. They've never even so much as challenged the law. The Bush administration hasn't been good on this issue, but you know what? The Clinton administration wasn't good on this issue, and there really hasn't been an administration that was good on this issue. But the fact is, we have seen major changes at the state and local level take place, despite the fact the Bush administration isn't good on this issue. It really doesn't matter, in my view, what the Bush administration's view on this issue is, because when push comes to shove, it's people in their local communities, it's people in their own cities and counties, and at the state level that are really making the changes. If you run afoul with law enforcement, it's your local law enforcement or it's your state law enforcement, and they're going to prosecute you under either the local law or the state law. Those are the laws that need to be changed, the laws in people's backyards. And we have several campaigns going on now at the state and local level that we anticipate to be successful, that really feed off the successes that we've had. Voters in November in Denver elected to eliminate all penalties for marijuana if you're 21 years or over. They simply took the marijuana and the statute making marijuana legal, they strictly put a line through it and took it off the books. It is the first time that any major municipality has ever elected not to decriminalize marijuana, not to make it the lowest priority, but simply to make it not a crime anymore. And that sort of success is being followed in many other places, including potentially the whole state of Colorado, where we're hopeful that voters in November will elect to pass a similar policy, but a statewide policy.
Right. That's saferchoice.org.
Yes. And it's an organization we're actually working very closely with on those campaigns.
And so you think there's real hope with that, eh?
I do. I think their messaging is very good. I think they're framing this issue in a way that people really gravitate to, and they're giving people an opportunity for the first time to have real open discussions about marijuana, particularly the use of marijuana compared to alcohol, and they're giving people an opportunity to vote on whether we should treat marijuana the same way we treat alcohol. And I think many Americans get that. Hopefully a majority.
So the message is to keep on keeping on and build on successes, and You know, I'm reminded of Gatewood Galbraith in Kentucky. You know, he ran for governor,
Right.
and Steve Dillon's been active in Indiana. But geez, it's I just haven't seen any laws change really too much. You know, it's tough.
That's a tough yardstick too. If you're trying to measure success or failure by legal changes, sometimes it can get discouraging. Believe me, we spend so much time putting out fires as opposed to being as proactive as sometimes I think we ought to be. But unfortunately, there are generally far more legislators willing to introduce bills that ought to be opposed than introduce bills that we end up being in support of. This past legislative session, I definitely at the state level found myself spending more time putting out fires. That said, there are still bills that we are hopeful legislatively will pass this year, including a bill in California to legalize the commercial farming of hemp that has passed the Assembly, and we're hopeful for its prospects later this year.
Paul, one last thing. Where can people get in touch with your writings?
A couple places.
NORML.org.
Probably the best place to go would be www.norml.org, which is the website for the national organization.
Right.
We do have a library section where many of our reports are published, and we also have a health section, and I would really encourage people to read that and assess for themselves what the potential risks are of marijuana and how we should weigh those in our society. Marijuana, I do want to point out, NORML does not advocate the use of marijuana for anybody, but we do think that the criminal penalties right now that prohibit the use of marijuana are more detrimental and more harmful to society and to the user than the use of marijuana themselves. And we put out plenty of objective research. I encourage people to read it and draw their own conclusion.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Louisville Late Night.
We so happy we alive, we together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies, and now's the time to legalize. Tell me brother, tell me true, what the hell we gonna do? Remember the days we saw purple haze, 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive, we together can survive. Mother Nature, heaven sent, don't belong to government. Hey there, sister, what's the plan? Do you really understand? Remember the days we saw purple haze, 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive, we together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies, now's the time to legalize. Half the world up in smoke, where on earth can we take a tug? Remember the days we saw purple haze, 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? Human nature, full and free, modifies reality. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1, and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me?